Well, hello everyone. Happy Monday, and thank you for taking the time to join us. My name is Matthew Maurer here at Coastal Business Supplies. So I'm very excited today. We have a very special webinar in store for you. We are joined by our friends at Epson America. We have Paul Morales here. We also have Morgan Lynn. He's not on video right now, but hey, Morgan. Paul will be providing us with a live demonstration of the Epson SureColor F9470H 64-inch 6-color fluorescent dye sublimation printer. Also on the webinar, of course, is Darcy. Wow. She's Coastal's resident wide format expert. And I think with that, I'm going to stop talking now, and I'm going to turn it over to Paul.
Yep.
And we're gonna make him full screen.
Well, thank you so much for the introduction, Matt. I really appreciate it. And everyone, we're really glad that you could join us here today. We're really excited to talk about the SureColor F9470H. So let's get started. So the first thing that I want to talk about is what is the most compelling reason why you would want to consider this printer? Well, the simple answer to that is this has dual 10-channel print heads. Now, why are 10 channels important? Well, other printers on the market will traditionally have an 8-channel print head, and so this forces you to decide between having a dual CMYK configuration for print speed or having a 6 or 8 color ink configuration so that you can utilize the fluorescent inks. The downside with that particular configuration is when you don't need fluorescent inks and you simply want to print jobs with CMYK, well, now you're sacrificing a lot of print speed. In that particular situation, you have to decide, well, do I want to get a second printer so that I can have one printer dedicated to dual CMYK for my print speed and then have another printer dedicated to fluorescent inks? Well, that is no longer an issue or a problem with the 9470H because with our 10-channel print heads, you still have your dual CMYK 8-channel configuration, so you never sacrifice print speed. And when you want to print with the fluorescents, you have the capability of doing so. So you kind of get the best of both worlds. It's really doing the work of two printers built into one machine. In addition to that, we've done away with the traditional rubberized wiper system, and we're actually using a fabric wiper cassette. Now, why is the fabric wiper cassette important? Well, it's important for a number of reasons. When we're talking about a traditional rubberized wiper system, this is something that typically needs to be cleaned on a regular basis, maybe multiple times a day if you run very high volume production. And over time, these wiper blades can start to deteriorate and will sort of push ink around and allow it to coagulate on the sides of the print heads and build up on the carriage and on the cap tops as well. So with a fabric wiper cassette, on the other hand, you have a fresh layer of fabric that you're wiping the bottom of the print heads every time you perform a cleaning or the maintenance routine. So what this translates to is much lower end user maintenance time. And if you're not having to maintain the printer nearly as often, that means a lot more uptime. This printer is designed to run multiple shifts, 6 to 7 days a week, 24/7 if you need to get up to that volume of production. And this fabric cassette really aids in that possibility. Now, talking about our inks over here, we have large ink bays. There's 1.5 liters available for each color. And since we have that for each channel, that means that you have a total of 3 liters for your CMYK inks. This is the same on the 9470 printer. You'll have 3 liters of each of your CMYK. On the 9470H, you have 1.5 liters each of the fluorescent yellow and the fluorescent pink. We also have an all-new media feed system on this printer, which can accommodate transfer papers as light as 45 GSM. So if you're running really high-speed roll-to-roll production, you want to take advantage of the high-speed modes on the machine and have a lighter weight paper that maybe you don't need to put as much ink down to hit the colors or produce the type of applications you're looking for, that's a very useful function to have. In addition to that, right below, we have a built-in post heater. And this is really important because no longer will you need to have any external type of dryer or heating element to dry the paper. The post heater is built in and it does a very good job of ensuring that all the ink is completely dry by the time it gets to the take-up reel. Now, when talking about our take-up reel, we have an all-new take-up reel system that's designed for very high efficiency and high accuracy. And it actually has a little bonus addition, which I really like. If any of you have ever been in production and you've worked with some of the other take-up systems out there on the market, you may find that in some cases, your take-up core could end up slipping. It may not be gripping properly or tightly enough onto the take-up core. And this could cause issues with media skewing, especially when you're doing roll-to-roll applications and going on the calendared heat press. So what we've done with our take-up system is we've added on the roll core holder on the left-hand side an additional lever. And this lever will allow you to tighten the roll core adapter into the core more so that we always ensure a nice taut take-up, nice and even. You can see on the sides here, we have very little, if any, skew. It's very highly accurate. And this is especially important when you want to load a brand new transfer paper roll and you want to print on the entire thing until it ends. This ensures that you have nice, even tension take-up, which makes the jobs much easier for the operators on the calendared press end. So with that, I'd like to step off camera for a moment. We're going to pull up a slide deck. We'll still allow the printer to print kind of in the background, but I want to discuss just some of the other options that we have in our F-Series portfolio for those that aren't familiar with the different printer widths and capabilities that we offer. We'll also talk about some more features on the printer itself, and then we'll talk about some service and some different applications that are going to help you grow your business as well. So starting with our SureColor F-Series portfolio, we have a wide range of printers depending on the print application widths and the actual applications themselves that you need. So we have printers that range from 24 inches wide all the way to 64 inches wide. So starting with our SureColor F570 that you see on the far left-hand side, it can handle rolls up to 24 inches. This is a CMYK printer, great for commercial use, promotional products, little onesies and that kind of thing. With the F6370, you're now up to 44 inch. You have a single print head. It's a 4-color printer. So this is when you're starting to get into your light production. If you need 64 inch, we have a 1 print head F7200, which is also CMYK. It's for light to mid-size production and when you need that larger width. And then jumping over to the 9470 series, which we're all looking at today, we have 2 models. They're both virtually indistinguishable with the exception of the 9470H has the addition of the fluorescent yellow and fluorescent pink. So this is when you're starting to get into the medium to high volume production. So now taking a look at the applications by print width. So this is kind of a great little cheat sheet to help you determine what is the right printer width for my needs. And looking at the 8.5 by 11 kind of realm up to the 24 inch. This is great for personalized and promotional products, for smaller apparel decoration, drinkware, award plaques, phone cases. This is great for those kind of smaller format type of jobs. When you jump up to the 44-inch range, now you're talking about all over t-shirts where you are sublimating the entire front, the entire back, the sleeves as well. This is great for sports apparel and fashion apparel. If you're starting to do rigid applications with large photo panels, flag signage, and another thing that's real popular right now, especially in the customization market, is towels and pillows. Now, when you jump up to the 64-inch print width, which is what we're looking at today, now you have the capability of printing large blankets, much larger fashion apparel, bulk fabric, soft signage, all different types of upholsteries. And now you have the ability to print up to a 4x8 photo panel. So with the 64-inch, the benefits of this is you can print many jobs at a time. You have a larger layout that you can nest all different types of files. And when we're talking about apparel, when you jump from a 44-inch format to a 64-inch format, you're able to fit a lot more pieces across going left to right. And so what this translates to in terms of print speed is you're about 30% faster printing the same jobs at the same resolution and number of passes, but now you have a 64-inch wide format. So it's very useful to take advantage of this format when we're dealing with sublimating items in much larger batches. And this pairs really well with all the standard fabrics on the market that you'll typically see a width range from 58 to about 62 inches. So that 64-inch paper width is really great for kind of all of the above that we saw here. Now, taking that into consideration, let's take a look at just a quick side-by-side comparison of our 9470 series. So as I mentioned earlier, both printers are virtually indistinguishable with the exception of the 9470H has the addition of the fluorescent yellow and the fluorescent pink channels. So when we're printing in just CMYK only mode, in other words, if we do not need our fluorescent colors for spot color replacements or as part of the color configuration, we are not sacrificing any print speed at all. So your sellable output for fashion and signage, you're over 1,000 square feet per hour in the CMYK only modes. That same mode for fashion and signage, when you add in the fluorescence, you're still at a relatively high speed of 667 square feet per hour in those modes. And with sports apparel, if you need a little bit more passes, maybe a little bit more density and saturation, you want to get nice, rich, deep blacks and reds and blues, we have print modes that are dedicated for that. And so you still have a very respectable speed of 568 square feet per hour in the CMYK only modes. And in those same print resolutions with fluorescent inks, you're about 345 square feet per hour. So you have quite a bit of options, not only what you see on the screen here, but there's also a plethora more of resolution and pass count sets built into the software to allow you to choose the right resolution and pass count set that's right for you. Now, I'm talking about the precision core print head. So this machine has dual precision core print heads. It's actually a picture of the print head that's in there. And you have a lot of nozzles. You can print up to 1440 by 720 DPI in resolution. So it's a very high print resolution. It produces amazing image quality. These are also factory aligned, so you get really consistent print quality, especially if you were getting 2 or more printers, or 6 months from now, you need to add another printer to the mix. You can ensure that you have great alignment, great quality out of the box, and you'll have great color matching and consistency as well from multiple printers. Now, because we have and we've packed so many nozzles in this print head, we're able to achieve very fast print speed. So it's quite possibly one of the fastest sublimation printers in its class. Now, the other great thing about these printers is the reliability. So these print heads and their ink chemistry are actually developed together. So you have ink that's developed specifically for the print head. And what that translates to is extreme reliability. It's capable of very high production with very little downtime. Now let's take a look at the print head configuration itself. So when we compare the 9470 to the 9470H, both have 2 print heads. You can see both have 8 channels dedicated to CMYK, so we get a true dual CMYK print speed configuration. But when we jump up to the 9470H, you can see the 2 channels on the far left of each print head. We've now added the fluorescent yellow and the fluorescent pink. Another great feature about these print heads is over time, if you start to develop a problematic print head, maybe you have some nozzle dropout that's tough to bring back, and you have a high-end job that you need to complete, well, you have the ability to disable one of the print heads in question, still use the other print head, and so you're able to produce sellable output while you wait for a service engineer to come out and perform any fix or repair that's needed. So it's a very useful function to have that in your back pocket should you need to get to that. Now, we talked a little bit about the ink chemistry and how this ink is co-developed with our print heads. And so that is very important to be able to have complete control from start to finish of everything that's inside your printer. And that's exactly what we do here at Epson. So this significantly increases the overall print head life when you have ink that's specifically formulated for the print heads in the machine. Now with these inks, it's a very high efficiency formulation, so it allows you to achieve very dramatic color intensity, very high color contrast, especially when you're dealing with rich blacks and fire engine reds and deep royal blues. You're able to achieve that with this ink set. It has a really superior overall image quality, so you get really fine image definition and sharpness and clarity. The other great part about this ink is it's a very stable ink chemistry, and it has a 2-year shelf life, and that's pretty unheard of on the market. Now, The other great part about these inks, and like a lot of the inks in our different product lines in the F series, is they are Eco Passport certified by OECOTEX. And what this basically means is it's an international safety standard in the textile industry that judges the safeness of a product from start to finish. And this is certified to be safe for adults, children, and babies. So it's completely safe on the skin. And it's also ASIO certified as well. Now, in talking about the different printer workflow solutions, all of our F-Series printers will come standard with the Epson EdgePrint software. And this software allows you complete layout and printer management. You can add multiple printers. It has color management built in. We here at Epson in our media development, we create all of our custom profiles for all of the different print modes. We also offer the sublimation transfer paper as well for those different modes. You can also import profiles from third-party modes as well. What's great about this software too is it has an Adobe PostScript Level 3 engine. And this is really important with a lot of the demands of the different graphic files today. So with Photoshop and Illustrator, with the ability to apply transparencies and filters, spot color replacements, overprints, and everything in between, having an Adobe PostScript Level 3 engine built into the RIP is very important because it's going to do a really great and efficient job with translating those types of files. So if you have a lot of high transparencies or gradients or color blends, spot colors, it's going to be able to handle anything and everything that you throw at it. Now, another great thing about this software as it relates to digital textile printing is it's equipped with different tools that you would use for various applications. So one of those would be step and repeat. And step and repeat is a very useful function to have if you're doing a wallpaper, backdrops, anything where you have a small image that you want to repeat multiple times over an entire roll. If you're doing bulk fabric lots, you have the capability of doing that right in the software. You also have the ability to spot color match, and there's various ways of doing that. You can create your own custom libraries. And if all that wasn't enough, this printer is capable of running with all of the industry-leading third-party RIPs that are out there. So if you already have printers and a workflow that you're confident in, you can simply and easily add our Epson printers into the mix, and you don't have to stray away from the workflow that you're comfortable with or have to learn a new software. Having said that, on the EdgePrint software, it's a very easy and intuitive design, but one benefit that you'll get out of it is the different fluorescent workflow solutions. And there's quite a few different workflow solutions for the software to help take advantage of the fluorescent colors. So in taking a look at the fluorescent workflow solutions, you have built into the software a color palette with all of your different fluorescent spot colors, and you have various color modes that you can choose between these. And we actually have a slide queued up just after this one that will kind of give you a little bit of a breakdown of the different color modes. So starting at the top, we have still our 4-color CMYK mode. And so you have these profiles. It's virtually the same as the 9470 color profiles. So if you have a 9470 already and you simply want to add the fluorescent option to the mix, you can get a 9470H, and when you're printing on CMYK only data, the color is going to be exactly the same. Now, the other ability of the 9470H, which is a very useful function, is if you look at that second mode down, we can actually replace the yellow ink in the ICC with our fluorescent yellow. So now our 4-color mode, we're using cyan, magenta, black, and fluorescent yellow. What's great about this process is it doesn't require any additional or different setup in terms of file preparation or pre-press or pre-flight. You can send your files as is through this special ink configuration, and it's going to replace all of the yellow print data with fluorescent yellow ink. Now, if that wasn't enough, we can do the same with our fluorescent pink channel. So we can now replace both the magenta and yellow print data with fluorescent pink and fluorescent yellow. And this is very useful for raster data images, especially where you have a lot of gradations, shadows, highlights, a lot of detail. You want to incorporate the fluorescent inks. Maybe it might be a situation where it's too hard to pick apart the different colors or create spot channels you still have the capability of doing that. But if you want to just process the fluorescent inks instead of the magenta and yellow, there's a very quick and easy way of doing that. And if all of that wasn't enough, we also have a 6-color mode, which will use all of the CMYK inks and then add the fluorescent yellow and pink to the mix. And there's a couple of different ways that you can do that. So you can use traditional named spot colors using our color correction library. You can create your own custom libraries and define color values both in the design software and the edge print rip. And then you also have a very useful function, which is one of my personal favorite features, and that's the multi-image color combined function. This is especially useful for sports apparel and jerseys and cycling jerseys and things of that nature, where it's really popular to use gradients, but not just any type of gradient. Gradients that will flow from one spot color to the next, or if we say, for example, we want fluorescent yellow flowing into a black, and we want a nice, seamless, and smooth gradation. With the color combined function, we have the ability of doing that, and it's as simple as having 2 different files, one file with your CMYK data gradient, and the other file with your fluorescent ink gradient. And right in the edge print software, we have the ability to combine those files. So we can get a nice, smooth gradient and nice, smooth, efficient color blending. So all of these tools built into edge print, you get them right out of the box with the 9470H. Multiple different ways that you can utilize the software and the printer to your advantage. And now one of our final points that we want to discuss is our service and support. So Epson's always been known for high reliability, high level of service, high level of support. That certainly is still the case with our F-Series line. So you do get a preferred warranty with this, which includes priority toll-free telephone phone support that's available Monday through Friday. On the 44 and 64-inch models, you have a 1-year warranty with on-site service. Now, everything is covered by Epson, so you no longer have to worry about who you're going to call when something goes wrong. With other printers on the market, you might be using one printer manufacturer with another manufacturer's ink and another manufacturer's paper. And when the problem goes wrong, or when something goes wrong, it's tough to determine, well, who do I call? Who do I get assistance from? Not the case with Epson. We provide the full genuine solution. So anything goes wrong, we're kind of on the hook for everything. So we are able to help you from a technical standpoint, from a break fix standpoint, get you up and running, also answer technical questions as it relates to the RIP. In addition to that, there's also an option for extended 1-year Epson Preferred Plus plan, so you can continue to enjoy our great service coverage at the end of your warranty. And the F-Series models, 44 and 64-inch, you can add 2 additional years for a total of 3 years of coverage. So most printers on the market will give you about 1 or 2 years coverage at the most. We offer, you can get a total of 3 years of coverage, and I think that really speaks to the faith and the confidence that we have in our products in terms of reliability and efficiency. So these machines are designed to run and run for a long time and produce high volume, consistent, sellable output. So with that, I'd like to invite Darcy in to join us, and she's going to talk a little bit about some of the ways that Coastal can help support your business and ways that Coastal can help you grow your business by looking at different applications. So I'd like to bring Darcy on board. And welcome, Darcy.
Paul, thank you. And welcome, everybody. Hey, Paul, I'm going to jump back to the previous slide that you were talking about, the extended warranty service. Epson, a few months ago, actually rolled it out that you can extend it out up to 4 additional years. So you can have the 1 year with warranty and then extend it out 4 additional times. So it would be a total of 5 years coverage now. That just recently changed, and we'll get that slide updated next time. So
really appreciate that clarification. So sales is usually more up to speed than us technical guys, but thank you so much for pointing that out.
And then there was a quick question about the warranty service. Is it 24/7? And it is Monday through Friday, 8 to 5, I believe, as far as calling into Epson tech support. And Epson handles all of the break fix issues and the RIP questions, or, you know, sometimes people change from one computer to a new computer, and they have to get the rip moved over. So Epson handles all of that. When it comes to production, when you are sublimating onto whatever sublimatable blank that you're working with, Coastal is your go-to for that. You would call us, and we help with all production questions. We work very closely with Epson, and they're a great company to partner with. So there'll be times that sometimes both Coastal and Epson are working jointly to help solve any production questions that are going on out there. But we'll go to the next slide here. But really, just the great thing about this printer is just obviously you have your CMYK colors. So if you're wanting to just print CMYK, you have a lot of jobs that just print those colors. It's a great printer to work with for that application. But the benefit is now you're going to have the fluorescent colors. So that definitely increases the visibility of the item that you're making. It allows you to stand out and offer something that a lot of sublimation production facilities don't have. There's not a lot of printers out there that do allow you to do the fluorescent colors, especially at the same speed that you can get it at. And just the different special effects. If you're in any area where you have the option, your customers that would have the black light, you'll definitely see these colors pop out under that black light. So what I'm going to do here is I'm on the sales side, obviously, and we work with customers about, you know, how much, what can you make with this printer? And we even went a step further and worked with potential business opportunities. So we're going to show you some suggested, these are just examples that we have of retail price. And with this, we can also figure out the cost to produce that item, material cost, ink cost, paper cost. And what you'll see prominently with this type of production is your gross profit usually ranges, I would say on average around 70-75% is kind of what an overall average is. So if you're making t-shirts just on the front chest, you know, you're going to have a nice markup there. I would say the average cost, what we see people selling a t-shirt for is around $18 to $20. Now, granted, you know, we're thinking East Coast, Midwest, West Coast, across the board. These are averages. The all-over shirts, $35 does seem to be the average cost of an all-over shirt. I've seen it as high as $80 to $90 a shirt. I've seen it lower, about $25. It always hurts me when I see an all-over shirt selling for that, especially if it's customized. I think that $35, $45 for a customized all-over shirt is a very reasonable price. And then when you get into a cycling jersey like this gentleman's wearing here, that's when you're going to get into that cut sew garment. That's where you are actually printing out the panels onto fabric and cutting and sewing it together. We've done quite a few webinars in the past that show this full production process, from helping you with resources for getting those patterns to do cut sew production, printing through all the way through the heat press, which type of heat press, whether it's a flatbed or a rotary heat press. So we do have that webinar that we've offered in the past, and we certainly will be offering that webinar again in the future if that's something you want to partake in. Flags and banners, again, another great option. I was just working with somebody last week on how to do this with flags and banners, and we have sources to get those flags and banners if you would like. You will be working with a larger heat press to do this type of application. But again, right here, you're going to see it looks like around the average is around 60 to 70% gross margin on selling these. And what's nice is these are repeat customers. Once you get that flagpole in, customers will change out their marketing with their flags. So you sell them the flagpole and the flag, and then throughout the year, you've got a repeat customer coming back, updating their signage and whatever it is that they are wanting to promote on that flag. Same concept here with the silicone edge graphics. This is very fast growing. Maybe you haven't been to an airport recently this past year, but many times as you're going through the airport now, instead of the hard surface signage out that you see out there or the banners, you do the silicone edge graphics. And this is where you have a frame and you're putting onto the fabric, and then you have a piece of it's like a plastic edging that goes around the outside and it goes into the frame. So you can change out the marketing, what your customers are wanting to have printed on here. We've seen this at different restaurants. So they'll have one printout and put inside these graphics in, you know, the springtime, summer, fall. So again, you sell them the frame, and then you're updating and repeating what's going in the frame and being presented. It's a great concept for you because, again, you've got a repeat customer coming back to you then as needed. Home decor, I love this, and this is what Coastal, we've got tons of sublimatable blanks available. So, you know, here we've got the pillow, the tabletop, different items showing pillowcases. Again, this is about your average 75% gross margin when you're selling these or making these. We have tons of other items. I think I heard last week that Coastal has about 2,000 to 2,500 different sublimatable blanks. Sequin pillows are very popular right now. A wide variety of coasters we've talked about. I think coasters are listed here, but I think we've got about 10 or 12 different options when it comes to coasters. Cutting boards for the kitchen. Other kitchen items might also include pot holders, aprons. So just so many different items that you can make with this type of production. And again, promotional goods. Mouse pads still tend to be a top seller. When we do our year end to see, we actually do it throughout the year, but see what our top sellers are. Mouse pads are always still in that top 10 items purchased for sublimating onto. Another one that's trending up are gaming mats. We have like a 14 by 24 gaming mat, and then we now have an even bigger one that's like a 16 by 35. So those gamers out there, they like to have their custom mats and different ways to promote on them, whether you're a gamer or even up at the counter. So if you have any customers at, you know, restaurants or any type of retail, you can print items onto these large gaming mats and have information about promotional items. Koozies are a big one. So again, here you're going to see a wide range between, you know, 60 to even 90% gross margin. Just a great way to run a business and to offer such a wide variety of items to your customers. Now, the signs, awards, gifts, these are hard goods. You'll have to slow the printer down, maybe even go to a single print head to have a nice crisp design with this type of printer. Maybe a better platform on this would be one of our 44-inch printers, the 6370. That printer makes a very ideal printer for a nice smooth gradients for high definition and just really nice vivid prints. You can do it with this printer, but for hard goods, we actually recommend a smaller single print head, not the dual head print head. But these are just a nice variety of items that you can make with sublimation printing and what you can do with this, the 9470 printer. So what I would like to do is, we've had a few questions pop up, but maybe just open it up to some general questions. We'll get Paul back out there. Hi, Paul. You did a great job.
Hi there.
I really love seeing it. Let's make, yeah, perfect. Let's see the printer in action.
Thank you.
Nice dog, by the way.
Thank you. And yeah, so I do see a couple of questions that were kind of flagged in the chat that we can answer live. So let's start with the first one. So we have a question that came in from somebody that was asking, how do you calculate the ink cost? Well, there's a number of ways to do that, but with EdgePrint, you also get our LFP accounting tool. And with that accounting tool, you're able to monitor any and all jobs that go through the machine, and it'll give you a cost breakdown of each of the inks that are being utilized in that particular job. So for example, on this jersey that I'm printing here, and all of the jerseys that we're printing on, we're using the 6-color mode. So it's utilizing CMYK plus fluorescent yellow and fluorescent pink. And when I look at it in the accounting tool, I'm able to see an exact cost breakdown of each one of those inks down to the milliliter. It'll also give you the ability to plug in other costs if you want to add in material costs, operation costs, and anything in between. You have the ability to do so in our LFP accounting tool. And furthermore, if you have multiple printers in the mix, you're able to monitor all of those as well. So the ink calculations that we came up with in the slides that you saw earlier were based on the numbers that we ran and achieved from the LFP accounting tool. So definitely a good question there. Now I see another question that came in, does the software handle variables, for example, names and numbers on sports uniforms? So with variable data, while we don't have that option available in Edge Print, you can get that option in third-party RIPs, Wasatch SoftRip being a good example of that. You have the ability of variable data, so you can design one image file. You can provide an Excel spreadsheet with the different names and numbers that go on the back of that, and then the software will do the rest. So you do have those capabilities to do that type of thing.
No other questions are really trickling in. So I think we've just must have done a great job of covering everything, Paul. Yeah.
Well, and I appreciate everyone's help on your end to help make this happen. And of course, everybody tuning in, if there were any questions that you might not be able to think of now, but come up with later or tomorrow when you're watching the review, Coastal is there to support you, to help you with those application questions, and also to help you decide which is going to be the best printer to suit your application needs. So keep that in mind, and we'll always be here to
Definitely.
Service and support
Well,
you.
thank you, everybody. And everybody's, a lot of people are chiming in and saying great presentation. Donna and Doug, thank you. Stay healthy and safe to you and everybody else as well. And I'm going to do a shout out. Morgan, who is on here, he's in Texas, and we were all just thrilled to have him with us today, because I think some of us were a little nervous he wouldn't be able to join us, but he has power and was able to join us today. So glad to have you, Morgan.
Take care, everyone. Thanks for joining us.